For some reason, I think of transcendental as rising above. But what I was hearing in your description is it's going into the body.
It is. It's going in. Yes.
Which
I
is,
mean, transcend just means to go beyond. So that's the literal definition of that. So in this case, we're just transcending the conscious thinking level, transcending, going beyond. And, you know, trying to conceptualize an analogy that would give a good characterization of the process of meditating is it's hard because it's abstract. But, you know, Maharishi used to use a bubble diagram. And that was, you know, what we all taught from that bubble diagram for years. And it was basically a line at the bottom, and then this little tiny bubble getting larger as it rises to the surface, and then a wavy line on the top representing the choppy waves on the surface of the ocean. And so how Maharishi used to describe it is that the line on the bottom was the bottom of the ocean, and the bubble rising up was a bubble of oxygen, which as it rises to the surface, it expands because there's less density. So it expands until it bursts on the surface of the ocean where it's tossed about on the waves. Relative to the experience of meditation in the mind, that wavy line on the surface is the conscious thinking level, the very active level of the mind. And that bubble that's rising from the bottom is thought. So, and we don't experience the thought until it bursts on the conscious thinking level, except on those instances where, you know, where you're trying to think of the name of a film.
yes.
And you can, it's kind of, or somebody's name, it's right
there.
below the surface.
Yes.
Okay, so you can kind of feel it there, but you can't grasp it yet. So now there is an experience of feeling a subtler level of the mind, but not with a lot of clarity, not with so much clarity that you can access the information. So, but it's a beautiful demonstration. It's a beautiful way to understand what it means, the subtler levels of the mind. So Maharishi used to say that line at the bottom was the line which would represent the bottom of the ocean, but that line at the bottom was the area of being, where thoughts arise. Thoughts arise deep within the mind, but we don't experience that unless we have a technique that allows us to dive into that field of being and consciousness and experience it at subtler and subtler levels.
Because what I think most people think about with the mind, or at least, you know, most people make the mistake, it's the funny mistake, that thinking their thoughts are them, but that our thoughts seem to me, or at least I'll speak for myself, my thoughts seem so much just repetitive and memories and tapes.
Right.
So you're talking about these thoughts that arise, are those thoughts are completely different than the one that just goes na 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 na.
The sort of the compulsive thoughts,
Yes.
the compulsive thoughts.
Yes.
These will probably be random. These thoughts may be some of those tapes, some of those patterns, some of those familiar thoughts, and very likely there'll be other things in there as well. But there will be periods of time in meditation where you will experience those repetitive tapes. And the reason why, Marilee, is because when you're meditating and the body dips into that deep relaxation and begins to release stress, it will begin to unwind whatever it is that's at the bottom of
The
that
source thought.
whatever is causing that repetitive and compulsive thought. If there is a thought that grips the mind like that anytime ever, that means there's some stress associated with that thought, and it holds the mind, and the mind gets stuck. And that's the beautiful thing about meditation and why it works, because it actually frees you from that. Eventually you will unwind that stress with enough exposure to that deep relaxation where the body can repair itself. You will begin to release that. It will go of its own accord. It's not an act of will, it's an act of deep relaxation. It will begin to go, and when that starts to happen, more and more the mind is free, and you are free. And you are not bound and tied up by those old stresses and strains. And then you begin to experience life from what is called beginner's mind. So then that means that your eyes are always fresh. Now think about the value of that in our relationships. Where we get stuck with our husbands and wives is, and our friends and this and that is, we get stuck by seeing them through the same filter. Now imagine if you have a way to free yourself and to live life from that experience of beginner's mind. You're never looking at them through those old, tired eyes. It's an extraordinary opportunity, and that is the real blessing of meditation. It is remarkable for stress release. It is remarkable if you have some sort of heart, condition. If you have migraine headaches, it's been back pain, sexual dysfunction, a whole host of chronic diseases. It's applicable in all of these areas equally well for the same reason, that the body gets dipped in deep relaxation, which allows it to heal and release those deep-rooted stresses, and it can repair itself. But the more expanded application of that is our experience of and our quality of life, which is being able to live free from inside. And there is no price you can put on that.